Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Scolio Mom, and this is Obi here as usual. Alright guys, from the title of this video you already know what this vlog is about. It is about my scoliosis story, how I found out on all that. So I'm just gonna tell you guys that the story, I grew up in Nigeria. I was raised and I grew up most of my life in Nigeria, and all I'm gonna tell you goes back home, my country, because I'm Nigerian. I'm just gonna tell you that this video might also be long and I might get emotional. So I'm gonna tell you my story in a chronological order, what I have learned so far dealing with scoliosis, take home messages, and dealing with it basically, because I know people can relate to a lot of things, and I know someone might relate to my story, how it has affected me. So I really do want this video to be very useful. So with that said, I'm gonna tell you once again what scoliosis is. It is abnormal curvature of the spine. It could be in a C or S shaped. So I was 12 years old when I was officially diagnosed with scoliosis, and it was my mom that first noticed, because I had just gotten back from boarding school and it was going to be a very long holiday because we had finished our exams for us to move to senior secondary. So I was really happy to be back home, but who knew that holiday was gonna change my life? So I was seated downstairs with my mom and my siblings one day. We were just having a very fun conversation, and my mom asked me to go get something from her room. So as I was walking towards the door, she called me back and said, "Why are you walking that way?" And confused as I was, I didn't know I was walking anyway. So I asked, "How am I walking, Mom?" And she said, "It feels like when you're walking you are slanting towards the left more." And I told her I didn't notice. I don't know how I'm walking. I didn't know that I was walking that way. So she asked me to turn around and she pulled my top. So when she pulled my top, she was looking at my back intensely. Then she noticed a curve and she kept asking, "Why isn't your back straight? Why is there a curve here?" And I said, "I don't know, Mom, I don't know." And she said, "Okay, I should go get what she asked me to get," which I did. Came back downstairs, joined in on the conversation, but throughout the conversation I could tell that she was still very worried with what she saw. So I decided to check it out myself and went to my room, backed the mirror, and I was trying to see what she saw. But you know, being that 12-year-old girl, I just felt, oh, it's nothing, I'm fine, I'm not feeling any pain. So I didn't make any big deal of it. I just said, oh, I'm fine, I'm sure it's nothing. But knowing my mom, she is someone that when she sees something, she really do want to find out what's the cause. So when my dad got back from work that evening, she had apparently filled my dad in on what she saw earlier, and my dad asked for me. I came back downstairs and he asked me let him see my back, which he did, and my mom was showing him the curve and why isn't my back straight. So my dad decided to call our family doctor. So he called him and he said they had noticed something and they would like, you know, to come in so he can see it himself. So he said, sure, why not? So we got to the hospital, saw our family doctor, and my mom was, "Can you check her back and see, because there is something wrong?" So we went to examination room. He asked me to bend, and that was when he noticed that there was something like a hunch. So he looked at it, kept looking at it, and he kept touching my back, and he was feeling, you know, the bone all the way down my, you know, my spine. He kept looking at it. So when he was done, I was trying to put on my clothes and he was talking to my parents. So when he was talking, my mom asked, "So what is it?" And he said it in a very medical term, something like lumbar thoracic, because, you know, I don't know, but eventually he said scoliosis. And my mom asked, what is that? And he said he would rather refer us to a specialist so that he can look at it and examine me more. So during that moment, he was talking and explaining to my parents. That was when I started becoming afraid, and I started feeling that this could be very, very serious, and I was really, really afraid. So my dad quickly made arrangements for us to go to Abuja, and we live in the eastern part of Nigeria. So from Eastern, which is Onitsha, precisely where we live, to Abuja is about 6 hours. So my dad quickly made arrangements, and my mom, my dad and I traveled to Abuja. So we got in, settled in a hotel, and the next morning we were off to the hospital. So when we met with the doctor in Abuja, so we saw the doctor and he examined me again, and he says that he's afraid that this is scoliosis. And that was when my mom asked, what is that? And he said that it is abnormal curvature of the spine, and my mom said the spine. So then again, fear came in. I was afraid, really, really afraid. So he said that there is no known cause, because he officially now termed it that I have idiopathic adolescent scoliosis. So my mom said, what is the cause? And he said there are no known cause. It just happens, and it occurs 8 times more in girls than in boys. And when he examined me, he could tell that I was slanting to the left more. So I'm just gonna quickly tell you guys what scoliosis does to your appearance. It tends to give you an uneven shoulders, and it tends to rotate one of your shoulders in more. Your hips, the other side, could stick up more and more prominent, and it affects your rib area, whereby if it rotates out, it changes your front appearance. And if your rib rotates out, it tends to be like you have a hunch at your back. So he had noticed all those things, but it was there, but it wasn't prominent. Mine, because my hip, the left side, were sticking out more. So afraid as I was just there, you know, saying to myself, why would this happen to a 12-year-old girl? And that is when you are cautious of your body, because you are beginning to see changes. So I still very afraid. He said that I need to get an x-ray done so they can see the degree of the curve. So my parents still very worried, and my mom asking him, is it gonna affect me giving birth, you know, any of those things? And he said no, but he would suggest that I should stop carrying school bag, any heavy lifting, any of those things. Due to that, my parents were still very worried. I could still remember, because all these were happening around 2002. He pulled out a textbook, and you know how medical textbook can be. Sometimes they illustrate all these conditions in a skeletal form. So when he turned to where they explained scoliosis, and my parents saw how the spine could be in a C or S shape, that was when my mom started crying, and if it felt like the true picture of how my back could be, you know, was in that textbook. So my dad, being as calm as he could be, just said, what are we gonna do next? And he said, let's get an x-ray done and see the degree of my curve. And sometimes the degree of your curve, you know, sort of determines the treatment you're going to be given. So the doctor asked me to go get an x-ray, which I did, and he said that he has seen the curve, but he would refer us to another hospital in Nigeria, which is in Lagos, because that is where I would get a brace. So that was the first time I heard of the brace, and I didn't know what the brace looked like. I've never seen one, and I said, okay. So my parents and I went back to the east, Onitsha to be precise. My mom stayed back this time around, and my dad went to Lagos. But my sister Chisom joined us, so we were 3. Thankfully, we have a place we normally stay in Lagos. We got settled in, and the next morning we were off to see the specialist in Lagos. So we were there around 7, and oh my, when we got there, the crowd, the people that were there, it was mind-blowing. Like, I had been to the one in Abuja, but it wasn't as much people that there in Lagos. So when we got there, we were given number tags, which normally is when they call your number, you get to see the doctor. So people there were as early as, I think they were there around 5 a.m, but we came in around 7. So by the time I got to see the doctor, it was around 2, you know, and I was really tired. So we finally got to see the doctor, and he said that, oh, you have scoliosis, because we showed him the x-ray we had done in Abuja. And he said, you have scoliosis, but we are still gonna do our own x-ray. We don't use x-ray results from other hospitals. We're gonna do our own, then we can tell you what next we're gonna do. So I once again got an x-ray, came back, and that was when he said that the degree of my curve was 22, and he said that he would recommend I wear a brace. And for it to, the brace doesn't necessarily make your spine straight or correct it, but what it does is it stops it from getting worse. That's basically what the brace does. So when he had finished, he took us to the room where the braces are being made, and he showed my dad and I an example of one they were making for someone that has scoliosis, but she wasn't as young as me. I think she was in her mid-40s. So what I saw was a prototype, and I haven't seen, or I've not seen the real thing. So I just felt, oh, I think I can wear that, because it felt soft, not knowing it was a prototype I was seeing. So my dad and I went back home, and he called us when my brace was ready so I can fit it and see how it feels. So when it was ready, he called us back, we went, and that was when I wore the brace. And guys, I'm gonna insert the brace, you know, somewhere on the screen so you can see what was made for me. It's not the best of brace, but I said to myself, this is going to help, so I would try my best to wear it. But it wasn't the most comfortable thing, and you would have to wear it 22 or 23 out of 24 hour in a day, and you can only take it off when you want to shower. So you can imagine my fear again. I was afraid, so I wore it, and you know, he said it was fine, I should wear it all the time. And thankfully, who wasn't in section, I was still on holiday. So we went back home, and my sister Chisom was there. She saw it and she said, what is it? This is difficult, this is hard. How are you going to wear this to sleep or walk around? Like, how are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know.